Hello everybody, Will Brogan here from Commercial Truck Training, doing yet another edition of Coach's Corner. I believe this is number 27 in the lineup. It's been very well received, so why not keep going? Today's episode is going to center around one of our favorite topics. Really was, of course, one of Ken's favorite topics, but it's become one of mine too, and that is asking questions. Very, very simple. What we're going to go over today, just a couple of different pointers to really get you in the right mindset as opposed to giving you specifics, but we'll inject some examples as we go. So, number one, the first question we want to ask is, what is a bad question? The answer to that is that any bad question is one that will give you an answer that you're not exactly looking for or that you don't want to hear. One of the biggest examples that we get of a bad question is when a dealer asks a prospect, well, how do you like your current dealership? There's a great possibility to say, hey, we love our current dealership. The guy's great, wonderful job, does whatever we need him to do. Kind of stuck at that point, aren't you? Don't really have an option to move on from that. So you also may ask a question that is a bad question, that's in the sense that you might get a good answer or you might get a bad one. We don't want to do 50-50, and a lot of times we don't want to do one-word answers either. Sometimes you can structure it in a sense that you'll get a yes or no depending on needing that yes or no, but we try to avoid asking bad questions altogether, and definitely asking a question like, how do you like your current dealership, is a bad question. Instead, you want to ask questions that tell you how to sell to the prospect. For instance, what are some of the things that are most important to you, the prospect? Let them answer the question. You may have to dig a little deeper with more questions. For instance, if they say service, well, what about service? They'll probably give you a vague answer. After that vague answer, perhaps it's something like, well, okay, let me throw a scenario by you. Say you have a truck that's been off the road for 2 days. How much money are you losing? They'll give you an answer. Would it benefit you to be able to bring that truck in at the beginning of a morning, when you first arrive before all the other consumers come to the dealership? Stuff like that. It sets you up, if you've done it right, to get no wrong answer from the prospect. And you provide yourself with an incredible opportunity to have already known what makes that prospect tick. So keep that in mind. It's basically a roadmap to the sale that you can automatically be on if you've provided yourself the opportunity. So ask yourself, for the third step of this, do you have enough information? Say you're going along in a conversation with a prospect and you're realizing that maybe you need more information from them, that you haven't asked the right question. Again, take the opportunity. What are some of the most important things that you're looking for? Then you can get specific as you go, as you've practiced your questioning skills. The service example that we mentioned is perfect for that. Ask for details, ask for elaboration, find out what their needs and their wants really are. All of these things will tie back into the opportunity to sell because you've learned how to do it for that individual prospect. If you know the differences between all of these different levels, you will succeed. When you get to a point where you've asked a lot of different aspects, whether it's service or vehicle type or anything else, be sure to kind of summarize the conversation with, okay, Mr. Prospect, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, what do you value the most in all this? What is the most important to you of all of these things that you mentioned today? It's another question. So here's a challenge for you as we wrap up this video. See if you can go a conversation with anybody, but it'd be really cool if you could do it with a prospect, asking nothing but questions. Get to know somebody. It could be somebody at a gas station that you meet. It could be on a date with your significant other, where you're asking nothing but questions. Challenge yourself to have an entire conversation, or at least for a handful of minutes, doing nothing but asking questions, and see where it might take you. You'd be surprised. That's it for Coach's Corner this week. We'll have absolutely more on questions. We always do with Ken Taylor. So we'll see you next week for another edition of Coach's Corner. Have a good one.